What if a child's innocent comment at a charity gala held the key to a decades-old family secret? What if one sentence, just 7 words, could shake a billionaire's entire identity and uncover a past long buried in silence? When little Caleb looked up and said, "My dad has the same birthmark as you," Nicholas Carter's perfect world cracked open. Stay with us, because what unfolds next will make you question fate, blood, and the invisible threads that bind us. The truth he discovers is more than shocking, it's life-altering. And it all begins with a mark. The ballroom of the Grand Hawthorne Hotel shimmered with golden light from the crystal chandeliers above, casting a warm glow over the polished marble floors beneath. The soft notes of a live piano performance floated through the air. Guests in sleek tuxedos and glittering gowns mingled with champagne in hand, unaware that their lives were about to intersect with a truth long buried. Standing near the center of it all was Nicholas Carter, billionaire CEO and renowned philanthropist. Tall, composed, with salt and pepper hair and a commanding presence, Nicholas wasn't just the host of the evening's charity gala. He was its reason. Through his foundation, he had built schools, funded hospitals, and now aimed to create educational programs for orphans across the country. As he stepped up to the microphone, the room fell into a respectful hush. "Good evening," he said with a calm confidence. "Tonight isn't just about giving, it's about rewriting the future for those who've been forgotten. These children," he gestured toward large portrait displays of smiling, hopeful faces, "are our responsibility." A thunderous applause followed. And yet, as Nicholas bowed slightly and returned to his seat, a chill brushed down his spine, a strange, nagging feeling, like someone was watching him. Not just watching, but studying. Moments later, through the glittering crowd, a boy emerged. He couldn't have been older than 8. Tousled brown hair, a white dress shirt 2 sizes too big. He stood out like a misplaced puzzle piece amid the refined elegance of the ballroom. But what truly caught Nicholas's attention was the boy's gaze, direct, unblinking, familiar. The boy walked straight toward him. "Excuse me, sir," the boy said, tugging gently at the cuff of Nicholas's suit. "My dad has the same birthmark as you." Nicholas blinked, momentarily stunned. "What did you say?" The boy pointed at Nicholas's right wrist. "That one. The little crescent moon-shaped mark. My dad has one just like it, in the same spot." Nicholas's heart skipped. The birthmark had always been an oddity, something unique that no one else in his family seemed to share. He'd never paid it much attention. Until now. "Your dad told you that?" Nicholas asked carefully, kneeling to the boy's level. "Yep," the boy said proudly. "He said it runs in the family. Means you're special." Nicholas chuckled nervously. "He's right. It does make us special. What's your name, buddy?" "Caleb," the boy beamed. "My dad's name is Daniel. He brought me here because he said we might see important people." Nicholas's smile faded just slightly at the name. Daniel. The name stirred something, a fragment from a past long buried. Before he could ask more, someone called Caleb's name from across the room. "That's him," the boy said, waving toward a tall man in a navy blue suit near the bar. Caleb turned back. "Do you think we'll see each other again?" "I hope so," Nicholas said softly. As Caleb ran back toward his father, Nicholas remained kneeling, his mind a whirlwind of memories and questions. He couldn't shake the feeling this wasn't a coincidence. He scanned the crowd again, this time looking for the man in the navy blue suit. There. Daniel was speaking with a guest, laughing politely. He had an air of composure, almost too polished. And then Nicholas saw it, the same birthmark. A faint crescent, visible just below the cuff of Daniel's shirt. Nicholas's breath caught. It was real. The room seemed to shrink. Noise dulled to a distant hum. Was it possible? Could this man be family? He waited until the moment was right and approached Daniel with a practiced charm. "Daniel Wright." "Nicholas Carter." Daniel extended a hand. "Mr. Carter, your speech was incredible." They shook hands. The grip was firm. Familiar. "Your son is a bright kid," Nicholas said. "We had an interesting conversation." "Oh, I hope he wasn't too forward." "Not at all. He mentioned something unusual. A birthmark." Daniel froze, just for a second, then smiled tightly. "Yes, it's a family trait, I suppose. My father had it. I do too. It's always been there." "Curious," Nicholas replied. "I've never met anyone else with it before." There was a pause. Tension flickered beneath the surface. Nicholas decided not to press further. "Not yet." "Well," he said, offering a cordial nod, "perhaps we can talk more another time." "I'd like that," Daniel said, though his eyes remained cautious. Later that night, back in his penthouse overlooking the New York skyline, Nicholas sat alone in the dark. The city buzzed below, indifferent to the storm now raging in his mind. He poured himself a glass of scotch and walked to the bookshelf. There, untouched for years, was a leather-bound photo album, his family's last physical relic. Flipping through the pages, he stopped at a faded picture. His Uncle Thomas, smiling, holding a toddler. A boy with a crescent-shaped birthmark. Nicholas's hands trembled. Could it be? Could Daniel be his cousin, a branch of the family tree long forgotten? And if so, why was this kept from him? What really happened to Uncle Thomas? He closed the album slowly, his mind made up. He had to find out the truth. This wasn't just a coincidence. This was a trail, and he had just taken the first step. Nicholas Carter couldn't sleep that night. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the image of Caleb's innocent face playing over and over in his mind. That child's words echoed like thunder in his chest. My dad has the same birthmark as you. It wasn't just a child's observation. It was a thread tugging at something Nicholas had buried for years. Something fragile and hidden beneath the surface of his carefully structured life. By morning, he'd made up his mind. Nicholas opened his laptop, poured a strong cup of black coffee, and typed into the search bar. Private Investigator Manhattan with genealogy experience. Within minutes, he had a short list. He picked one with a discreet reputation and hit call. Made the call later that afternoon in a quiet office nestled inside a brownstone building near Central Park. Nicholas met with Samuel Vega, a retired FBI agent turned investigator, a man with sharp eyes and a quiet, steady voice. So you believe this man Daniel Walker might be related to you? Samuel asked, flipping through a notepad. As Nicholas described everything, the child, the birthmark, the family photo album. I don't just believe it, Nicholas replied, tension in his voice. I feel it. I can't explain how, but something in me just knows. Samuel leaned back in his chair, tapping his pen. Sometimes the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. Family secrets have a way of surfacing when we least expect them. Nicholas nodded. I want you to find out everything you can about Daniel Walker. His background, his parents, especially his father. Give me 72 hours, Samuel said with a nod, and I'll tell you if this is blood or just coincidence. 3 days passed like a storm. Nicholas threw himself into work, but every glance at his wrist sent his mind spiraling. Memories he hadn't touched in decades began to bubble up. His Uncle Thomas disappearing without explanation, whispered arguments between his father and grandmother, a childhood sense of loss he'd never understood until now. When the call finally came, Nicholas's hand trembled as he answered. Mr. Carter, Samuel began. I have news. Daniel Walker's birth records list his father as Thomas Walker, born Thomas Carter, your father's brother. Nicholas sank into his chair. My uncle. He changed his name after an accident nearly 30 years ago, Samuel continued. According to hospital records, he survived a car crash that was presumed fatal. His wife died at the scene. He disappeared soon after being released, under what I'd call suspicious circumstances. He reemerged a few years later under a new identity. No contact with your side of the family. No trace. Why would he vanish? Nicholas whispered, almost to himself. Samuel paused. I don't know, but Daniel likely doesn't either. From what I gathered, his father never talked much about the past. Nicholas ended the call in stunned silence. He stared out the window as the city buzzed below. The truth was more painful than he expected. His uncle hadn't died. He'd chosen to disappear, chosen to abandon the family, and yet created another. And now his son Daniel was out there, unaware of the truth. Later that evening, Nicholas found himself driving. No destination in mind, just winding through the tree-lined suburbs north of the city, until instinct told him to stop. A modest house sat at the end of a quiet street, a small basketball hoop over the garage, a porch light flickering. Daniel Walker's home. He sat in his car for a long time, heart thudding. What would he say? How do you tell someone that the life they've always known is built on secrets? Suddenly, the front door opened. A boy ran out, Caleb, chasing a soccer ball into the yard. Laughter filled the air. And behind him, Daniel stepped onto the porch, phone in hand, eyes scanning the neighborhood. Nicholas knew he had to act. He stepped out of the car and approached slowly. Daniel looked up, surprised but not alarmed. Mr. Carter. Call me Nicholas, he replied, offering a careful smile. I didn't mean to drop in unannounced, but we need to talk. Daniel hesitated. Is something wrong? Not wrong, Nicholas said. Just bigger than I expected. Inside, the living room was cozy. Family photos lined the walls. A worn leather armchair sat beside a bookshelf filled with classics and picture books. It was warm. Real. Nothing like the cold elegance of Nicholas's penthouse. Caleb, go finish your homework, Daniel said gently. The boy disappeared into the hallway, but not before casting a curious glance back at Nicholas. They sat across from each other. An awkward silence stretched. I hired someone to look into your background, Nicholas said. Forgive me, but I had to, after what your son said. After seeing that mark. Daniel leaned forward. And your father, Thomas Walker, was born Thomas Carter. My uncle. Daniel's breath caught. No, that can't be. He survived the accident, Nicholas continued. But he never told anyone. He changed his name. Started over. I think he wanted to disappear. Daniel stood, walking across the room. He ran his hands through his hair. He told me almost nothing. Just that he lost his wife. That the past was too painful. Nicholas rose too. You didn't know. I'm not blaming you. But you're my cousin, Daniel. And Caleb, he's the next generation. He deserves to know where he comes from. Daniel turned slowly. I always wondered why he never had family visits. Why we never met anyone. I thought it was shame. Or anger. Maybe both, Nicholas said. But the truth found its way back. Through Caleb. The two men stood in silence. The weight of decades of silence pressing between them. Daniel finally nodded. I want to know more. About our family. About him. About you. Nicholas smiled. Then let's start again. From here. And just outside the door, Caleb peeked through the crack, unaware that he had just stitched together a family torn apart by time and silence. Now a question for you. If you discovered a relative you never knew existed, would you seek them out? For the first time in years, Nicholas Carter felt something unfamiliar. Peace. It was quiet and tentative, like a whisper that had waited decades to be heard. In the days that followed his meeting with Daniel, the two men spoke often, not just about Thomas, their elusive connection, or the long shadow of silence cast by a vanished past, but about ordinary things. Childhood memories. Family traditions. Things that neither of them realized they'd both been missing. Caleb quickly warmed up to Nicholas. The boy had a natural curiosity and a boundless energy that reminded Nicholas of himself as a child, before life had taught him to hide his feelings behind success. Every time he saw Caleb's wide grin or heard his laugh echo through the house, he was reminded of what truly mattered. Daniel invited Nicholas over for dinner one weekend. Nothing fancy, just grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, and laughter around the table. At one point, Caleb climbed onto Nicholas's lap, held up a drawing he had made of the three of them, and said proudly, "This is my family now." Nicholas felt his throat tighten. He wrapped an arm around the boy and smiled, but inside he was crumbling in the best way. That night, after Caleb had gone to bed, Nicholas and Daniel sat on the porch, watching the stars emerge one by one. I keep thinking about what my dad might have felt, Daniel said softly. What could have driven him to run away like that? Fear, Nicholas answered. Grief. Shame. Maybe all of it. Maybe he thought he was protecting you. Maybe, Daniel replied. But it still left a hole. Nicholas nodded. And maybe now we get to fill it. They sat in silence again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was shared, grounded healing. Over the next few weeks, they slowly began rebuilding what was lost. Nicholas introduced Daniel to other relatives who remembered Thomas, some with tears, others with silence. They dusted off old albums, pieced together family trees, and even found letters Thomas had written but never sent. In one of them, he mentioned a son he never thought he'd be able to raise right. He called him my second chance I don't deserve. Daniel read the words out loud one evening, his voice breaking at the edges. I wish he had come back, he whispered. I think he wanted to, Nicholas said. But some wounds never heal if no one helps. Daniel wiped his eyes, then looked at Nicholas. Thank you for being the person who helped. Their bond grew stronger. They started a tradition. Every Sunday morning, Nicholas would come over with pastries and coffee, and the three of them would sit on the back porch and talk. About everything, about nothing. It didn't matter. What mattered was that they were together. One weekend, Caleb asked, Uncle Nicholas, were you lonely before you met us? Nicholas paused, then nodded. I didn't think I was, but now I know I was missing something. Caleb beamed. Well, now you have us. Yes, Nicholas said, pulling him close. Now I have you. As spring rolled in, Daniel and Nicholas decided to take Caleb to visit the place where Thomas was buried. They brought flowers, a picture of the three of them, and Caleb's drawing, folded neatly in Nicholas's pocket. The cemetery was quiet, with only the wind rustling the trees. They stood in front of the grave together. Daniel laid the flowers. Nicholas placed the photo. Caleb, with childlike reverence, unfolded his drawing and placed it gently at the base of the stone. "I think he'd be happy now," the boy said. Daniel nodded. "I think so too." Nicholas closed his eyes and whispered, "We forgive you." That moment wasn't about closure. It was about opening, about allowing love to fill the space that pain had carved out long ago. On the way back, Caleb fell asleep in the car, head resting on Nicholas's shoulder. Daniel glanced at them in the rearview mirror and smiled. A broken family had begun to mend itself, not with grand gestures, but with kindness, presence, and truth. Nicholas never returned fully to the life he had before. He still worked, still lived in his penthouse, but something fundamental had changed. His priorities were different. His heart, no longer hidden beneath layers of ambition, now beat for something greater than legacy. It beat for connection. He and Daniel began co-authoring a small family memoir, something they hoped Caleb would one day read and pass on. They titled it The Half-Moon Mark, after the unique birthmark that had brought them together. Every story they added was a thread, weaving a new legacy, one built on truth, healing, and forgiveness. Now that you've seen how a single moment, a child's innocent comment, could reshape the lives of 3 people forever, we want to hear from you. Did this story touch something inside you? Have you ever uncovered a family secret that changed the way you saw your past? Type 100 in the comments if this story moved you. Tell us what country you're watching from. We want to see how far the story reaches. And if you believe more people should hear about how family can be found again, even after decades of silence, please share this video. Let's remind the world that sometimes healing comes when we least expect it, but only if we're brave enough to open the door.